This is part 2 of math skills for the GED. Okay, this one we're simply doing polynomial addition and subtraction. And what we want to do is combine like terms. And what does that mean, like terms? Well, notice that we have this r squared here, we have an r here, and no variable here. An r here, an r squared here, and no term here. So I'm going to set this up in buckets, where I have r squared, r, and my constant value. And I'm just going to put things in here where they belong. So this one has a 2, I'm going to cross it out as I use it. This one has a 1, cross that out as I use it. The r has a -4, out. Then we have 8 here, out. I have 6. I have -14. Alright, so in order to regenerate this equation and have everything be combined, I'm just going to add all this up. So I have 3r squared, which you can see over here. 2r squared plus r squared is 3r squared. 8 minus 4 is 4. It's a positive 4, so we need a positive sign, plus 4r. -4 plus 6 is still a positive 2, and that's the answer. And that's how you combine those. I'm going to do the exact same method to do this one. But the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to distribute this negative sign because it's going to muck up my works if I don't. So what I'm going to do is get rid of these parentheses. These parentheses up here are actually you don't need them. They're superfluous, and so we're going to just take them off. This one, however, is telling me that I have a -1 times everything inside these parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that. Minus h cubed. -1 times a -2h is a positive 2h. -1 times a positive 3 is a -3. Now I'm going to check my exponents here. I've got an h cubed. I have an h squared. And you can put a dot or something underneath while you're keeping track. I always marked up my stuff because it was just so much easier to keep track. So I have some h's here. And that should about do it. And then I'll have my constant term right here. So as I look, I only see one h cubed. I'm going to go ahead and put a mark in it and put a -1 right here. I have an h squared here. I don't see any more. I have a -5h here. And I have a positive 2 here. And I have -3, -3, and that should do it. Okay, so now I'm just going to do exactly like I did before. -1 times h cubed is going to be written -h cubed. 1h squared, that's positive, plus h squared. 2 times -5 is -10h. And then -3 plus -3 is -6, and that is the answer to that one. I just find this method of combining to be so much simpler than trying to keep track or drawing arrows. Use whatever method is easiest for you. I've seen people do it like this. I personally prefer the bucket method, but use whatever works for you. Polynomial multiplication. Okay. Much like in the division problem in the first video, we are going to do this term by term. And so I am going to multiply -3a cubed b times 5a squared. Well, you can only multiply like terms, and then you're going to squish them all together. So -3 times 5 is -15. A cubed times a squared is a to the 5th. We talked about that in the previous video. That was one of our rules. And then there's no b to multiply by, so that one just hangs out. Now for the next term. -3 times negative is positive 3 times a -1. A cubed times a is going... Now, I'm done with the sign because the sign was associated with this guy right here. Okay? So just make sure you don't have to worry about the sign now. A cubed times a is a to the 4th. B times b is b squared. Alright, last one. -3 times -4 is a positive 12. There is no a cubed term or a term here, so I'm simply going to keep the a cubed. And b times b to the 4th is b to the 5th. And that is the answer to that one. This one I'm going to distribute first, and then I'm going to come back and do the combining like terms. So negative 3x times 4x is negative 12x squared. Negative 3 times negative 5 is plus 15. Don't forget the x. Negative x times x is negative x squared. Negative x times a negative 6 is a positive 6x. And if you want to look at it the other way, it's negative 1 times negative 6 is 6 with the x left over. Whatever makes more sense to you. Go ahead and do my buckets. I have x squared, and I have x, and I put one too many because I thought I ended up with one without an x. Okay. So I have a negative 12x squared. I have a negative 1. I have a 15. And I have a 6. So I have negative 13 x squared plus 21x. Now it is possible that the output for this problem is going to look like this. X, negative 13x plus 21. Just so you know that this is the same as that. Not sure how they'll ask you to pick your problem. All right. Next, last one. This is the foiling method. And what the FOIL method does is make sure that 5y is multiplied by both this, and this negative 1 is multiplied by this and this. And this is just a way to keep track of that. And what FOIL stands for is first, outside, inside, and last. And first, what they're talking about is this 5y and 2y. Outside, talking about 5y and 3. Inside, talking about that negative 1 and 2y. And last, they're talking about that negative 1 and that 3. And if you notice, it's 5y, it's this first term times that first term, and this first term times second, and vice versa, second term times first. So everything is multiplied by each other. So I'm going to go ahead and do the math. So 5y times 2y is 10y squared. 5y times 3 is 15y. Negative 1 times 2y is negative 2y. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. I'm going to combine these. 15y minus 2y is 13y. So I end up with 10y squared plus 13y minus 3. Now I'm going to show it to you over here. This may look different than anything you've ever seen. So I'm going to show you here. First, 10y squared. Outside, plus 15y. Inside, right here, minus 2y. And then last is this, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. 10y squared plus 13y minus 3. All right, that concludes. Hope it goes well for you.